Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to work on some iris paper folding. I hope you'll stay tuned.
So my friend Janice sent me this card a while ago, and I couldn't figure out how she did it.
With papers, and she said what she does is she uses all kinds of recycled papers like gift wrap, gift bags, mail, all kinds of things, because to do this technique you need very thin paper. Well, I'm going to try it with very thin paper and we'll see how I do.
I also wanted to show you the group of these templates that Janice sent me in the mail, so you can see I have a bunch to make for our troops, and I love that she was thinking of me because she knows I do send cards to our troops. I will link below where I send mine to. Well, I just drop them off, but if you want to send anything to our servicemen and women overseas, you'll be able to at this address below if you're interested.
So let me just first tell you about how thick my paper is. I'm going with paper that's from your copier, and I just used my alcohol markers to color the paper. I could have done watercolors. I could have really done just about anything to make this work, but I chose the alcohol markers, and you have to make sure that this is super dry after you do this. Now, you're going to have a color grid, and hopefully you can see my color grid. Here's mine. A is blue, B is red, C is silver, and D is gold. Well, as close to gold as I could get. And I'm going to cut these into basically 1-inch strips. And I know I'm not going to need more than one strip of the silver, because there's only a small amount of silver. I might need 2 rows of the blue. I might need 2 rows of the red too, but we're only going to have 1 for now. This is a very small pattern, and since it is such a small pattern, you don't need much of any one color. At least I'm hoping I don't. I haven't practiced yet, because you know me. I like to fly by the seat of my pants.
What I've done so far, and this is what Janice told me to do.
She said get a pocket protector, which I did, and then she said put your template, hold on, I'll untape this, inside. So you get this template, and it has all the numbers on it. And at first I got very confused by this, but then I realized that A is all blues, B is all reds, C is silvers. Well, it's not, it could be any colors, but A is all one color, B is all one color, C is all one color. I hope that made sense, because I started talking to myself thinking, that's crazy. That made no sense at all. Now, the only thing I'm really not going to be doing is I'm not going to be doing anything with my star or this little bendy piece. And what she did with hers is she embossed it. See how she did hers? She embossed it with glitter. That was smart. I don't know if I can do that though, because when you send cards to the troops overseas, you're not supposed to have glittery, sparkly things, because I'm not really sure. My understanding, it has something to do with making sure that someone from above doesn't see that and know that they're a target. That's my understanding, but I might be making it up. The other thing that I'm not good at is I'm not good at bending paper. So if you're like me and you can't fold paper in half really well, turn your paper over backwards so that the back is face up, and put it in your scoreboard and just score it like this. And don't push hard on really light paper or you'll rip it. So I'm just making a little score line. This just gives me an easier way to fold my paper and make it so that I'm going to have even, hopefully, lines. The goal here is to have strips that are going to be laying on top of each other. And when you do that, you have to remember that since they're laying on top of each other, you're going to build up a little bit of substance, we'll call it, you know, on the back. This is the back of our project. It's not the front, it's the back. So when you're doing this, you want to remember you're working with the back. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to just fold my blue, because my first papers I'm using are blue. And the piece that you want to go into the center, like facing in, is the folded part, okay? Make sure you remember that, because that's going to be important. And I recommend that you use as little paper as possible when you do this, because, as I said, you start to build up a lot of paper. So here's my first piece. Oh, and you need tape. I'm going to put my tape right there so it holds this down and it takes the glare off. The other thing that I did, I played with this twice already and both were fails. I ripped my tape in half like that, and before I laid it down, I put the tape on the pieces. That way I could lay it in place and make sure that I didn't end up having tape over the spot, you know, like over part of my project. Okay, see how my tape is? Wait, can you see it? So I'm going to put the tape. Seeing already I have to move a piece of tape. This is what happens when I do these things. Well, let me lay it down so you can see it. I know my hands are in the way on this first one. Okay, see that? Then this piece I can put anywhere over here because it's not in the arrow. Then number 2, hopefully you can see this. Number 2 is also blue, so we're going to get another little piece of blue. And I couldn't snip my paper in advance, because what I found was if I tried to do that, then I ended up with some pieces that were too big and some pieces that were too small. You know what I mean? So then this piece I'm going to put right on that too, and I snipped off some of it so it's not as deep. Like that. It has to cover the other, it has to fully cover the first piece so that when you flip this over there's no gap. My number 2, like that. Got my tape in the right spot. I've got everything covered. Put this piece of tape over here. Nobody will see it over there. It's nice and adhered. Number 6 is also blue, so we might as well put that little strip in too. What do you call this? Pocket protector, is because you want to be able to lift up this tape every now and then. You want to be able to look at it. Can you see how cool it is already? You never know. You can't see the lines of my alcohol markers. You know, you were thinking when you saw these, you thought, oh geez, you're going to see those lines. It's going to look terrible. But so far, they look really good. We're going to do 14, which is this little strip here, and that's the last of our blue for a little bit. We have one more strip of blue. I think the rest is done. And this piece is a little bit weird because you have to have this little angle right here. Let's do glue number 5 down this strip right here, and that way we can get it out of the way. And this gold piece is a combination of a bunch of things. It's gelato and markers, and it's not super shiny, but it is shiny. So I'm going to go like that much, I think. So we're going to have to put that piece like that. You with me? So I can tape the right or the left edge. Okay, put it like that. So we can tape this left edge down, and then I can tape the top. A little bit overlapping my number 9, but I don't really care about that because it's also gold. Let's put 14 in first because that's the piece of the blue that we needed to get in there. So we'll put that 14. Remember, we're working on the back, so it's not like if I put any tape, like if I put tape over this, it's not like they're going to see that because it's on the back. So let's look at it again, just so we have an idea of what it looks like. See, that's what we look like. Still looking good, which is a bonus because I was kind of scared about this. I had some issues when I did it before. You know, the issue I had when I did it before was frankly because I was struggling with the thickness of my paper. And believe me, if you have really thick paper, you're not going to like doing this. At least I did not. See how I cut this at a little weird angle? That's because you see this piece of 16, I think I need to have it a little bit more of an angle. Let's see if that worked. That's a little bit better, like that. I'll take down those ends. Okay, now let's see, number 9 is gold. Okay, I'm going to have to trim this off because, or make it shorter. No, what's that word? Narrower. I think, hopefully that's long enough. Well, clearly I didn't do that right. I guess I'm going to have to make it shorter again. Don't forget, you need this. There we go. Finally. You need to make sure that that piece covers over the things beside it. And then number 13 is also gold, so we got to do one more little strip, and then that's all the gold we have to do. Holding everything down. Now we need to go to we're going to do the bottom section. 4 is silver, I don't know if you see this. So we need to start in with our silver piece. And this is weird, this little 4. It's like rounded. So you kind of have to snip. I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it not as tall as it is, and I'm going to have to round off some of these corners and hope that I can make this work. That piece there, and this little piece with tape on it right there. Let's see if there's a mess there. No, it looks okay. I hope I'm doing this the way you instructed me. She gave me great instructions, but if you know me, following directions is not my forte. Put that in place. Okay, let's do the red next. If your paper edges aren't straight, just make sure, like this one, I didn't do a good job of folding it straight. So you want to make sure that your edges don't show up the uneven part. You know, you don't want to have the uneven part show on your project. So just make sure that, see, like if I did it and this white edge was showing, that wouldn't be good. So you just want to make sure that when you do this, that if you have a little problem like me and you didn't fold it properly, that you fix it before you get in there. Okay, let's do number 3, and I'm going to put it right over that edge. Okay, I think 11 is also red, and it is. Now whenever you do these iris paper folds, there's usually this diamond in the middle that most people either put a bauble in or a bead or something to, they don't put paper in it. But when George's did it, she put paper in it, and so since she put paper in it, I'm going to too. And I think we're going to go with the red. This isn't hard to do, as long as you keep remembering that this is the back. And I sometimes get that lost in my head. I don't know why. I only needed 1 strip of blue, by the way, so I didn't need the second strip, even though blue was my most prevalent color. 12 and 15 are both silver, so let me put those in. Oop, more of an angle right there. Let me tell you, yesterday I did this with cardstock, and this mound was humongous. It was for a variety of reasons. One of them was that I just didn't think about the bulk when you're using cardstock, and I was using really long strips, and so those really long strips were everywhere. And our last strip, we're going to go right in with this red, and I'm going to just cover that spot with it, because why not? Like that. Okay. You ready for the big reveal? Ta-da! Pretty cool.
So what I decided to do is stamp some images around the front of this from a couple of stamp sets. Let's see. I'm using this one that is from Printworks called Celebrate America, and I'm using this one from Perfectly Clear Stamps called, I don't know what it's called. Hold on, down at the bottom I think it says, it's SSC 105. It's from 2007, so it's an oldie but a goodie. I like when I find patriotic stamps on eBay that are used, I like to get them because it's kind of hard to find ones that are specifically patriotic in, themed. So I'm gonna ink the one that says thank you and has a little heart beside it. I think that we should thank our soldiers. They do an amazing thing for us. Or maybe it's thanks to you. I can't decide what this exactly says. But anyway, I liked it. I think it's kind of cool. And I'm using Gina K, I think it's blue denim, on that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to use peg stamps. I cut my base for my card. It's the exact same size as my card. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our, this is an embossing marker, and we're just going to draw, we're going to put this up against our back, our actual card base that I cut to the same size. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the marker, we're going to just draw, I'm sorry my finger's in the way, we're drawing the whole image so it's exactly, hopefully, exactly the same shape. I'll get my finger out of the way so you can see me do this now. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm drawing a loop and a line, and then I'm going to use a little bit of black embossing powder and put a piece of scrap paper under it, and hopefully this bad boy will work the first time. I'm not good with black embossing powder. If you didn't know that about me, you do now. I struggle with it. It's always leaves behind little crumbs, and I hate that about it, even though I already wiped my little pouch over the whole thing. It doesn't matter. With black, I always seem to get something left behind. So let me heat this up and see. Okie doke. I don't think it looks too bad. I think I need a little bit more right there. I don't know if you can see that little spot where my heart or my star needs to have a little fill in, we'll call it. And I'm just going to add, oh I know, it looked scary there for a second. It looked like I was going to get it everywhere. Trust me, it's not over yet. I still can get it everywhere. Next thing that I need to do before I go any further is use a cloth and wipe off my area, because
those little black flecks get everywhere, and if you didn't have that happen to you before, you might at some point, so I try to forewarn you of what could happen. Okay, let's line it up and see how we like it. I think it looks pretty good. See how it looks? I'm happy with it. Hope you think it looks good. Now, I think I'm going to use some peg stamps. I have some real red ink. I'm going to get that out of the way. I have some real red ink, and I have this, it's 3 little stars that I thought looked kind of pretty. You know, they're pretty patriotic, you know what I'm saying. They're nice. I like them. I hate using the same colors that I have, if worry that they might not match, you know, the what I already have going on here as far as the paper colors. So I'm just going to kind of put them here and there. And this is called Stars Twinkling 3 from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, the peg stamp people. I think that looks pretty good. Then on the inside, let's first glue this bad boy down. I think I'm just going to use some tear tape on it. This is what the back of your image will look like. I'm just going to use some 1/8 inch tear tape. Putting it on the back. Okay, I'm going to put some wet glue. Just want to make sure that anywhere that I don't have tear tape, that I'll have wet glue. Okay. The best way to do it, if you've never done this before, is to put your 2 pages together before you lay them down, before you adhere them. I'm going to put them together so they're perfectly aligned, like that. And make sure you push it down so that everything gets adhered. And now's the time where you can think to yourself, do I need more of this or more of that? And I have some more sentiments. I think I'm just going to put those in the inside that I should have done before, but I forgot. So let me put those in. Before I stamp it in here, I'm going to put a piece of paper in there and see exactly how that stamps, because that is a really unusual stamp. When I got it, it was already stained, so I can't tell you for sure if it is straight or not straight. So the best way to do this, if you didn't know, the best way to do it is to put your paper down, just any kind of scrap paper in any size. I'm just going to see if this ends up being straight. That looks pretty straight. Okay. Like that. And then I think I'm going to put in the inside, I'm going to take my same star stamp that I used before, wiping off the ink off of it, and using the denim blue again, go around the outside of this. Good enough. So there's our card. Let me stamp the back, and I'll also get my stamp my envelope, because you know you have to stamp your envelope. And there we have it. So if you've ever wondered about iris paper folding,
this is how you do it. I have a viewer who wanted me to do a card for her of a rabbit. And if you have any interest in me doing this in an iris paper folding with ribbon instead of papers, I'd be happy to do it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see it done with ribbon so you get an idea of how that works. I'd be happy to do it. I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. I also wanted to show you the group of these templates that Janice sent me in the mail, so you can see I have a bunch to make for our troops, and I love that she was thinking of me because she knows I do send cards to our troops. I will link below where I send mine to. Well, I just drop them off, but if you want to send anything to our servicemen and women overseas, you'll be able to at this address below if you're interested.